Hi, I'm Calen Vanstone, and you should go pluck yourself.
Hello, welcome to Go Pluck Yourself, the Actor's Pursuit. My name is Chris Gunn, and I'm really excited to share this episode with you guys today. My guest today is my very good friend, very old friend, Calen Vanstone. He's a director, writer, filmmaker, and I've known Calen since I was 16 years old, which is more than half of my life, which is kind of crazy to think about. But Calen's always been there for me. He's not just a fellow creative. He's been a very good friend of mine for a long time. He's got me through a lot of very difficult times, and I'll always be grateful for the friendship that that we've had. But aside from the really good friendship that we have, he and I kind of have been on this creative journey, alongside each other for the last, 16 or 17 years or whatever it is. We both went to film school around the same time. That's where we kind of really connected. And ever since then, I feel like we've both been very supportive of each other's endeavors. And I'm really excited to see he's finally getting his own ideas made. He's been writing for forever, but he's finally making some films. He's just released a really beautiful short film, Greg, which is about the personification of anxiety, which you can watch in the link below. I'll make sure I put a link down there. And he's just finished shooting his first feature film. I think that was last year or earlier this year, which I'm really excited to see. I don't know too much about it, but I'm very excited for that one. And he's about to go into production on his second feature film. So crazy ambitious guy. Like, it's so exciting that he's actually getting his ideas made. He's pulling together these beautiful crews, and it's just really inspiring to see, and I'm extremely proud of the guy. We kind of talk about the things that kind of held us back, and the things that were in our control that we sort of used to hold ourselves back, to procrastinate actually getting started in this industry. It's two white dudes with microphones in a small room, so it gets a little bit mental healthy. Forgive us for that. That's who we are. That's what we do. But yeah, if you're creative, if you're just starting out in this industry, if you're facing some of those creative blocks or those insecurities, I think you might get a lot out of this episode. Coming from a couple of guys that waited way too long to get started, but are finally giving it a good push now. So yeah, I think it's a good one. If you like what I'm doing here, please support the podcast by following or subscribing wherever you're listening or watching. Leave a comment, share the episode, all that sort of stuff. The more engagement you guys give this podcast, it really helps the algorithm and gets the podcast in front of the right people. So thanks so much for all the support and all the engagement, and I love hearing your comments and your feedback. Before we get started, please give his production company a follow on Instagram at Cats or Death Films. That's Cats or Death Films. If you know, you know. And you don't know. But anyway, it's a long episode, so we'll just get into it. Please enjoy my excellent chat with my very good friend, Calen Vanstone. What's going on?
Man, I came here prepared. I put beard oil in my beard.
Oh, that's a good place to do it. That's a good start.
Yeah. Does it look like I've got stuff in it?
I was going to say, your beard is good.
Glistening? Is it glistening for the camera?
Do you ever watch Flight of the Conchords?
What is...
You don't know Flight of the
Conchords?
Thank God. Yeah, well, when Brett was trying to compliment Jermaine, and he just walks into the room with a piece of paper, and he just goes, "Your beard is good."
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Heart
So
of comedy.
your beard is good, man.
Yeah, my beard, thank you. No, really, really good, man. It's really nice to be kind of uncomplicatingly good in for the most part. Because this thing of like, you have to be brooding to kind of make good art. You have to be suffering. And David Lynch he said something about this, about sort of like, when I'm suffering, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
So like, it's the bit when I'm clear of that, and then I can think, and then
when you're reflecting on it.
And reflecting on it, yeah. I remember like, I went to this Silverchair gig. They played at the Clipsal back in, it was like 2005, whatever. Yeah. And then people like heckling, going like to play like the old stuff.
Yeah.
But the angle of the hecklers was like, we liked it better when you were depressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I understood it enough to be like, that's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Why would you want that on anyone?
Yeah.
And then it felt like getting into the arts and stuff. And it's like, it felt like the message was like, you're one or the other. And they're the true artists and geniuses, the like the sufferers and the Kafkas that would just only exist at night. And then, like how that gets dangerously kind of perpetuated and idealized and sort of fetishized. Now in this last probably like 6-7 months, since we're writing this new thing, it's like the best writing I've ever done. And it's been probably the best mental health space I've been in probably of my adult life, probably the best it's ever been. Again, it's not saying it's all high, but the lows, I know how to manage them and I acknowledge them, and they're safe to be in.
Be steady.
But then otherwise, but it's, you know, you've got ebbs and flows. I know, I understand that, but they're like, you know how to return to the baseline.
Yeah.
But and this is by far the most personal thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to create from like having a bit of a chip on your shoulder and stuff like that, something to kind of prove in what you want to say. But that you also have to be in the dark place of the thing that you're doing
while you write it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like a lot of it kind of, there's so much for so long has been like, once you're good, like do not look back. Like don't, like you're good. Oh, okay. Just keep the blinders on and go and live in that and don't reflect. And then you miss all this growth. It's the like, and that's what I'm saying before is like, I'm not saying that I'm like, okay, I'm good now. So I go into a dark place to write. But I'm looking back at it safely. I mean, I wouldn't dare do any of it if I wasn't in a good place. Yeah. But like I said, I think I really draw on like this idea of kind of having a chip on your shoulder and like, you know, like I wasn't particularly encouraged or supported at film school, and I was obviously still just trying to find me. But ever since then, it's like, well, I've got to prove them wrong, which at least that drove me for a little while, that kind of pride thing. But that's evolved into like, well, I wasn't the chosen one, so my voice had to be earned in a sense. Right. And so then it was like there's a friction, and it's like it needs to be made to get this voice out, and it's like, and it involves more, and it's like, oh, I've just got things I want to say. Because I'm so wary of filmmakers who like start out and they are really well received straight out the gate. And it's like,
do you think that actually happens though?
I think it's that thing of like sometimes, like say you go to film school and then you make something and you kind of don't know quite what you're doing, which you shouldn't by that point really. And then people go, oh, wow, great, amazing. Yeah. And then that's a high you'd want to chase. I just don't think school is the place to like succeed. I think the school is the place to fail.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, no, but I don't think I don't think it's obvious all the time. And I don't think teachers encourage it maybe as much as I feel like they should. Okay. Yeah. But like second year was like gloves are off, and it was like I made this like just super weird, like kind of lynchy Eraserhead was like right in my brain. And I was like, no, I want to chase that feeling because I'm not in the industry. And like teachers hated it. Like my auntie at the screening went up to one of my teachers being like, oh, he was like proud of Calen, you know, doing this thing. And he was like, to my auntie at the screening. Really? Fuck you. But I was like, I was really locked into this thing of like it felt bad, but I was getting it anyway, and they weren't seemingly approving of my choices anyway. So I might as well follow that and learn from failing because I've got the safety net. I've paid for this place. There's all these resources. You know, it's the same thing I talk to a lot of actors about like when they graduate from acting school, and I was like, do a fringe show, and like. Not saying I'm like hope it bombs, but I'm like, if it does, it's an amazing learning experience. You get the spectrum of here are all the resources, here are your family and friends come and go. Well done, they're encouraging, and that's lovely. But now go and do a thing where you've got no safety net. Yeah. And I think it really then teaches you like how passionate you are, how much you give a shit about this thing. Oh, that sucked, but underneath all of that, there was this little jewel of a feeling that I want to keep and hold. And so, I think I just have an opinion, and I don't know if it's just me built on the fact that was what it was like for me. Yeah. But I think you just should have to fight a little bit for your idea, because in the process of that fight, your idea strengthens. And it's like, you know, when you talk to people, you like read the script, so share a script with someone, and it's like, it's the best thing you can do is get someone to be like pulled apart, and then you have to either justify those decisions, and then through talking about justifying it, you strengthen your idea, or they go, oh shit, you're right, I've missed that thing. Go back. Yeah.
I think in those earlier years, you know, around the film school era, and you know, I was like 19, didn't really know exactly what pathway I wanted to take. I knew I wanted to be in film, but I mean, I didn't really stick around in it for very long.
Well, I feel like we both went into, I mean, you're already doing music, but we both went into the music thing for a bit.
Yeah, we did, yeah. Yeah, but there was something strange about that time. Like I was really looking outward for sort of approval from other people. Yeah. And I mean, it might have been drilled into us by the sort of
contact that we had with the industry, telling a student that their work doesn't count or isn't good enough, is it kind of destroys the entire learning process because like it's subjective.
Yeah.
And
like, who cares what the end product is?
Exactly.
It's about what's
like,
your journey.
I'm learning something.
Yeah.
I've got an idea. I'm going to make it. It might be good. It might be bad, but that's irrelevant because I'm learning something and I've got an experience working with other crew and writing something and directing something and showing my work to an audience. That whole process is just a learning process. And I can't really justify grading it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
but it's also like I hate the way a lot of industry people, if you get them to like read something, they approach it like very unfortunately often very egotistically and kind of like there's a little bit of like, well, I'm gonna tell you it's shit because I'm But then a bit of posturing, but also like they come from it like, okay, well I'm gonna tell you what's good and bad about it. And it's like if I ever read anyone's thing or watch anyone's stuff, is like just quickly before I look at it, what was your intention?
Yeah.
And you don't talk about the art, you talk about the artist, and even the process and the kind of development process. It's like, talk to the artist and go like, what are you trying to do with this? Like, what's the most important thing that you say with this, that you want to say with this film? Well, I think here are some craft things. Here's maybe some ways you can structure or whatever, things that are like proven somewhat that help with storytelling. Otherwise it's like, talk to, do you feel like you got this thing out of it? And this is the stuff that I do for myself, I try to do. I think that's like the biggest crime in this kind of, in educating art is, all right, make a thing. All right, we'll talk about, let's critique the painting at the end of this and we'll give it a B or an A. And like, anyway. I feel strongly about it because I hate any artist being put off at an early stage.
Yeah. I mean, you're not just working with technical filmmaking, You're working with potential artists.
Yeah.
And
ideas.
Because, we're learning production as well.
Yeah.
And there's do's and don'ts.
Of course. For sure.
But then in terms of directing and writing and editing choices and just any sort of filmmaking, creative choices, you're nurturing an artist there.
Yeah. I mean, we do it in preschool. Like we do it for babies and children. We don't constrict them with like results driven sort of, that's the thing. You need to nurture there's openness and all right, just go play and we'll see what happens. Oh, maybe go left. Maybe pick. Yep. Great.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Otherwise hands off.
And especially at our younger age when we were at film school, straight out of high school, kind of lost out in the big world.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing before they were struggling to get people in for like acting schools and stuff. They used to say, people would try to go in straight after school. They go, no, go travel for a year and like just
life.
do some shit and kind of explore life a bit. Yeah. And then come back and now we'll, pull it apart. And I would probably almost say the same thing. Yeah. To do any art is like, go. I mean, it's easier said than done, travel, money and whatever, but go have some experiences,
It's kind of interesting that you and I both basically took about 10 years off actually following through
in a public way.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think we had this dream a long time ago, both of us.
Yeah.
So, well, a few artistic dreams, right?
Yeah.
And we both sort of had little moments of like going for it, and or tiptoeing around certain things, but also just living life and making mistakes and being very separate from any sort of artistic world at times as well. I'm speaking for myself there.
No, I agree. I'm with you. Yeah.
But now it seems that we're both finally just going, I'm going to ignore the noise and just do the thing that I want to do.
I think we both subconsciously and then that blurred into a bit of consciousness. We both were like, we're ready now.
I think so, yeah.
And I think we both
It might be a thing of getting through your 20s.
Yeah. And I think because I made a choice, but I didn't realize I made that choice until a bit later to like kind of spend the majority of my 20s watching other people succeed and fail.
Yeah. Okay.
And learning that way. And I think there was a part of me that was like, I don't think I deserve a voice yet in a way, even though there was stuff I could tell. But I was, I wasn't an experience chaser. I was sort of like a lot of my youth, a lot of my 20s, I was watching other people do that. Like high school was pretty tame for me.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff came a little bit later. And then it's suddenly like around, funnily enough, like when I met you and that sort of extended group was when I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm going to play catch up for a bit. And then I think that bled into my early 20s. And I think the music scene was almost a version of doing that because you're out at night and you're playing, you're meeting people and whatever. But I was always writing. So I've never not been writing. I've been, so there's, as far as like, unmade things, it's endless. There is so much, there's such a massive, so by the time I made Greg a couple of years ago, it was like on paper or publicly, it was my debut short. I was like, this is like my 30th to me. Like, I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was a very conscious thing to sit and watch. But I also realized that was also me going, my voice is ready and it's a bit more refined. That's why I kind of like only sort of really did this, like Greg, that short, and now I'm like straight to a feature. I was like, oh, I'm ready, you know.
When you say ready, I mean, I know you're saying like
not perfection. I'm not mixing up with perfection though.
Right. So what is it? Because I also get the impression that there might be a sense of, and I think you mentioned this before, a sense of feeling like, do I have the right to express myself or send a message to an audience? Do I? Like,
probably.
Do you know what I mean?
I think there's a little bit like, I think the part of it that comes from the insecurity, anxiety thing of just like, you know, just feeling like I built that into my brain that I don't have, like, I don't really deserve a voice in space. That was so much of my 20s was like me fighting for air, and I would go to such great length to, some of the stuff I did for other people that I just go, God, I went so out of my way to do that for that person, just seeking to be like, to be recognized, you know, like going back before about where I'm at now. He's like, that stuff is so done now, which is so good. Yeah. And the standards I've set for myself now are like, I'm so happy, you know, that I've got there. But so I think there was a lot of like, oh, what can I say? You know, and and then what can I say, because I feel like I didn't do a lot, even though once I thought about it, I was like, oh, I've done heaps. And then another thing of like, well, who will care and who will like, you know, and particularly with a film where you have to involve other people.
How do you answer that question, or how do you justify that question? Like, who would care to yourself?
What do you mean? Like, as in,
because I kind of think that can be a block, I think, creatively.
Oh yeah,
thinking about an audience and thinking about, well, who would care?
Yeah.
Like, so how do you get around that? Because I have my view on that, but I'm curious about yours.
I think, one way is you just get so used to hearing like the wisdoms you get from other filmmakers who are just fucking like, let's do it. Like, and that seems so like nothing, but it's like the rhythm of hearing that, like when you hear it regularly, it's like, you have to do it. Right? Like, I know, because you're asking me this question, what's your advice? You know, and I can tell that you care about it. I can identify that this thing in here needs to do it. Yeah. So that needs to override what other people.
Who you think you're doing it for.
Yeah.
Because
and then
we're so focused on the audience, but really you got to do it for you.
Yeah. And then when people talk, you know, you see people respond to when filmmakers talk about like, oh, we didn't really think about like who it's for, we make it for us. And people go, oh, it's so obnoxious. Tarantino talks about it all the time. I make a film that I want to see. Yeah. But again, it's like they're not ignorant to the fact that they're making something for an audience, but they go, I like this film. Yeah. I'm a human being. Yeah. Like, I'm special and unique. Yeah. But I'm not alone. So if I like something, there's a pretty good chance there's some other people who like it. Yep. Exactly. And that's a beautiful thing to realize.
It's very liberating for yourself.
And then, like, I guess the awareness that comes from that is recognizing maybe how many people might like that thing. And then you go, and that's how you, I think, maneuver in the business.
Yeah. Well, your audience will find you.
Yeah.
But even if it takes a while, or even if it's a couple of people.
Yeah. But I think the people who like, you know, like musicians who do like super niche things, the point of kind of, I think what would be considered success is not how good it does or whatever. It's them becoming aware of exactly or more or less how many people care about that thing. Yeah. And then, and accepting that and loving that and going, I make this really fucking crazy, weird jazz metalcore, like fusion dance music. Yeah. I'm aware enough to know that that's not going to be played on like Triple J. Yeah. But then I play this basement to like 5, 10, 20 people and they love it and I'm happy with that. Yeah. That is the success. Yeah. So I think it's like so tough to get there internally. Yeah. But then
because you get there. You have so many pressures to succeed.
Well, that's all that also, like all the messaging from the industry of like the competitive funding thing. Yeah. Because again, of course, if you're going to make people compete for funding, subconsciously or consciously, you're going to probably make choices that you think they will approve of. which is not how art should ever be created. The business side of a thing, the business side of just having entertainment. I'm sure there's people sick of just me saying like referring to this exclusively as art. But
that's
like
how you get 20 Marvel films.
Yeah. But it's like, I watch them and I don't mind some of them, but like, and there's a place for those things, obviously. Entertainment mindless is never going to poo-poo that stuff. But when that's the main message you get from the main funding bodies, that kind of competitive funding mindset.
Yeah.
And then you're talking to some young filmmakers. And again, I do not blame them for a second, but it's like, they're all talking about, well, where's your funding?
Yeah.
It's like the consistency of that message. That's what is considered success to them. It's like, oh, you got this much money from these people.
Yeah.
You know, like Greg, like, so I was so proud of like making Greg, got into Adelaide Film Festival, and it was the only film that didn't have any like support, you know, and I was so proud of that. And I thought that might mean something more, and it kind of didn't. Like a few people got it.
What do you mean?
Oh, I was really hoping that, because I still have that prescribed to that idea. It's the ways that like, oh, you made this thing for not a lot of money. Look how good it is for how little you had. That's really great. Or we'll give you a little bit more, and let's see you expand on that. That sort of idea. Like 2 festivals, they were saying basically is like, well, because it don't have funding is why we didn't accept it. Because they sort of see as like, if you're funded, if you're supported, then you're connected to this thing. And it's like, if you get some funding from Adelaide Film Festival, we can see, oh, you're connected to that film festival. And obviously, because so many festivals now, it's very business minded. So it's like, well, we can't see how you're going to bring attention to us. But it's like that messaging. I'm glad that I'm stubborn in the way that I am by going, that maybe you want to do it more.
Yeah.
Again, that's me being stubborn. But it's like people who maybe don't have that same tenacity, sort of inbuilt tenacity that I have. I was like, no wonder, a lot of them would have, after they received what I received, would have gone, all right, well, I guess seemingly the only way to get approved or, granted permission to exist in this industry is like, well, I guess I have to get money. And then they don't maybe. And then they feel like they're nothing.
Yeah.
I get so like affected by the idea of people with great ideas existing and not being approved because of the boxes they don't tick for other people.
Yeah, yeah.
Like really genuinely really kills me.
Yeah.
That people who are looking at purely at the numbers are the ones that approve. And I know this is not a new, statement that I'm not revelatory thing I'm making, but so I'm glad, I'm very happy that I'm where I'm at with that in that sort of stubborn way. And then this next feature that I'm about to shoot is again self-funded, and I was like, I'm going to establish my voice. I'm going to kick the door down.
Yeah.
And I think that was before I realized was a bit of what I was doing for all those years. It was a bit like, I'm not going to ask for permission,
Yeah.
I'll take my time. I'll grow as a person. I'll have all these experiences, try and watch other people kind of learn from that. And then I'm going to, in my own way, do it when I'm ready. And so I think that idea of earning the voice sort of thing has evolved.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I'm happy where it sits now.
Yeah. And especially when in so many of the avenues that we are taking here, there are no official kind of hurdles that you need to take across to be called an artist, And so when you're lost in that world as a young artist that doesn't really know how it works, hasn't really made anything yet, but you want to, or you've got something in you that's sort of this desire to create. So before you've made anything and you can't prove to the world that you are an artist, you seek validation from people that you feel are higher up than you. And then what happens is they sort of inherently just kind of shut you down.
Yeah, because they're kind of gatekeeping in their own way.
Got nothing to prove.
But they're kind of holding onto a spot themselves.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Finite spots that exist.
I know what you mean. Yes, there are, it's a business, and like filmmaking is a business, but at the same time, I think it's so important to hold on to the idea that you are also just an artist and a human, and you should, if you've got something to create, just go and create it and forget the rules and forget the process and the the pathway that's going to appease the business.
Because it's not like there's data on that backs that up. The amount of things that have succeeded from someone's crazy ideas. But I think what art to me is the thing in between everything. So it's like the art there's the artist, there's the thing they create, and then the audience, if you want to just limit it to like that little kind of Bermuda Triangle of you're starting conversation. So like I've shared a thing about me, you've accepted it, taken it in, relating it to whatever's going on with you, and then you've connected with me. even if we don't ever talk, there's a connection here.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's, for me, is the art. It's the thing in between, the beautiful kind of thing we can't touch, the air in between. And the reason I think about it like that, again, is to remind myself of all the stuff that I put into the film, and all the stuff that's received and then felt. You know?
Yeah.
And then we only look at the product, or we only look at, well, how does the audience receive it, you know?
Yeah, and we only think
as a
about
whole,
it in business terms or
yeah,
something.
the business thing cuts all the art, all that conversation out of it just looks at the polls, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's a weird concept to talk about, because particularly in this country, and I think going back to what you're saying about being an artist and looking for approvals, this country has a major problem with recognizing what artists do.
Yeah,
It's not the same overseas. And I so hoped that, you know, COVID was going to change that. Everyone would sit in their living rooms and then going, we are kept alive in a lot of ways by the art that's being put out there. I mean, it's the way that I kind of view, in a lot of respects, kind of a lot of mainstream Western philosophy around filmmaking, where it's like they make films to make money and they hope they're good.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of stuff, particularly in places in Europe and stuff, where they get what the process is, they're trying to make good stuff, and hopefully it makes some money. Yeah. And I think that's actually a risk worth taking.
Absolutely. And it's really funny. It's so interesting that, like, how they really flogging that dead horse about superhero films. And then Honora wins the Oscar.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then Sinners,
and then
smashes
all these years where they're
office.
saying, "Oh, no one cares about horror. There's no market for it." And it's like, while Stranger Things is the biggest show on TV and Walking Dead and stuff, and then you just waited a couple more years, and now that's like everywhere. And now every like celebrity is trying to make a horror film now, because it's the thing, because they've finally accepted that that's what people want.
Yeah. But then that will go out of fashion.
Oh, exactly.
And then
because it gets exploited,
and it won't be an original thing anymore.
No.
And eventually it will again.
Yeah.
But, you know, superhero films, you know, worked for a bit.
Yeah.
And then they're like, that's all we're making.
Yeah.
And then I see articles that are like, Hollywood are deciding that independent original ideas might actually have a place in this industry. Yeah. That's what we grew up on.
That Sean Baker win was like, him winning that, it just destroyed me in the kind of this great way, where I was like, I was really sad and sort of almost sort of depressed in a weird way, but not from like a bad thing. It was like almost like, it was such a confronting realization that, oh, fuck, maybe there is an opportunity for me, that as someone that doesn't want to ever make Marvel films or anything, you know, like, and stuff, not to shit on them, but like, oh man, obviously his speech was like, killed me. It was just this beautiful, you know, acknowledgement of independent theatre, of independent film. And that sat with me, you know, ever since. And it's crazy that it's like, it felt like it took so long, because I felt like the industry was like, is always built on those people, because, you know, all the filmmakers start somewhere, you know, and suddenly then, like I said, the same thing, seeing all these like foreign filmmakers, quote unquote foreign filmmakers, blowing up, and Parasite winning the other year. And it's like, wow. Yeah. I think they're finally starting to get it. Yeah. And it's like, it's proven. It's like, again, and then just to look at Australia, it's like how we keep forgetting that our best time, the best time of our industry was when we had, you know, the Breaker Morants and, you know, Gallipolis and Picnic Hanging Rock, whatever, stuff that was doing well in general. Yeah. Underneath it, we had, you know, obviously, you know, the Mad Maxes and Turkey Shoots, all these like, I mean, you can have any opinion about it, but that was our most successful time. Yeah. People still in America talk about, obviously, you know, Tarantino talks about that Not Quite Hollywood documentary is so good, because it's acknowledging that this was actually a really strong time for us. It wasn't just this weird kind of thing that you have to kind of unearth. It was a really strong time. It's like, how do we keep forgetting about that? Yeah. And something happened in the 90s. I don't know what happened. We stopped kind of making like horror films, particularly. You see around like 93, 94, it sort of starts to die off. And I don't know where I don't know what, and then it just has never seemed to come back, with these exceptions of people, these strong voices like the Philippi brothers doing, you know.
Well, I think we can kind of go full circle to how we started this conversation, which is people start to chase what they think will make money. Yeah. And that seems to be the downfall. Yeah. And every time an independent artist actually slips through the cracks and gets into a cinema, the world goes, yeah,
But
that's
the
what
thing.
we want.
Exactly, but the world
But
gets
imagine if the Filippo brothers were shut down, which they were by so many people.
Yeah.
Until they were finally picked up. But
Yeah. But it was like numbers that
they were
weren't
defiant, and they were
Yeah.
just.
But it was numbers. It
was
so frustrating because it took recognition outside of our country.
Yeah.
The same thing with the Babadook. Like I remember when it first got launched, and like it was like nothing here.
Yeah.
You know, it's so dead. And then it goes to America, gets two of the best. I talk about this all the time ad nauseum. Two of the best quotes a horror film could ever get. You get something from William Friedkin, the director of The Exorcist, and Stephen King, and then suddenly it's like, oh,
well, that's it.
Oh, okay. Now
that happens in Australian music too.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Look at like Amel and the Sniffers, and
Dude,
you know,
yeah, absolutely.
It's the tall poppy syndrome that we have here, which is
I think that's a really good point.
Probably what held us back for 10 years. And that's probably what we were trying to fight through in our heads. Is like, we don't deserve to express ourselves, you know.
Yeah, because we're not meeting the standards of.
We don't deserve to just make anything.
Yeah.
Because we're asking for permission before we have learnt the skills.
Wow. Yeah, dude, there you go.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a really good, you know, asking permission before you
know
even know what you're asking for.
Exactly,
dude.
And people are just going, well, you're no one. It's like, I know I'm no one. I would like to get good at something. So I can be someone. I know. You know.
No, there's a part of me that's really excited for what's coming up, because I feel like there's been enough of not being allowed, and then seeing these people break through. Like the fact that I think it was last year at Film Festival, there was two features screened, like low, no budget feature screen that were only an hour long, which is like the death knell for festivals.
Yeah.
You know, like no one, do not do that. And they had two back to back in this little screening. The Movie Juice guys are amazing. And I was going, oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. More of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I think totally bridges to actors in this idea of, I think for a long time, it felt like actors had to be so malleable and open and neutral and sort of vanilla. And it's like the best thing you can bring is yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And then having people in the industry that can do, can sort of encourage that for actors. And
I think I felt for a long time that I was like maybe people pleasing and trying to fit a certain version of myself to participate in this world, and definitely rejecting my own voice, allowing myself to actually have a say in this world, or just meeting people and being like, this is just who I am. This is, I know where I'm at in the industry, but I'm not going to try to be whatever it is I think you want me to be.
Yeah.
And I think there's this kind of naivety that you have in your 20s when you're walking around just being like, please, and just give me a shot, or give me some validation, or let me in,
Yeah.
And so you're very much just like, okay, whatever you want, and then you end up just you sort of exploiting yourself and doing all these favors for people, which you definitely learn things from.
Yeah, I was going to say this.
It's not wasted time, and it's not like you deserved a salary.
No, exactly.
But I mean, pay your artists if you can, but no one can here, that's understandable. But just really putting yourself last and not giving yourself any sort of backing as an artist.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of hit this point eventually, hopefully in your life, where you say, all right, that's enough. Like, I care about the people around me. I'm not going to tread on anyone's toes here, but now I have a voice.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to hurt anyone, but I'm going to have, this is my little lane to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
Not to hurt anyone else, but just, now I just want to, it's my turn to get my little message out for anyone that's interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that makes you good for, I think you've talked a bit about with auditioning and different things, but it's like remembering that an actor shouldn't fill any role.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that it's like, I'm looking for a thing, and there's obviously a part of me that will obviously let something in from the person, but it's that sort of that marriage of someone being themselves within the role, because it's sort of like if you're just bringing it to life with none of you, it's just like Frankenstein's monster. There's it's dead behind the eyes.
Yes, yeah.
Like animate the character with you, and then that marriage of those, that's what the decision making should be.
Yeah.
Is that part of you, does that marry well with the character?
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, it's hard because you don't like rejection, and you want to get work, and that's the thing again of how few spots there are to fill, and the way that we in Australia, it's such a problem of casting people, because it's just like, well, we know the person, it's easy, it's, you know, it's major theatre companies that just kind of go, well, we'll retrofit you into everything, you know, because you're here and it's established and people know you, and we do this with actors, Australian actors, and it's like you look back at all those films that were shot here, like Hollywood sort of studio films, that were particularly that hotspot of shooting in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, you know, Matrix, Mission Impossible 2, all these things, so much. It's like so often the supporting character is the same fucking actors. It's like, because they're just Australians, like, oh, you know, here, have the one that, you know, here's our like best, you know, and that's just become so ingrained, and like, it's crazy that one of the best ways to get cast in this country, sort of being you, is on like soap operas. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But in film, and, you know, and it's like, so I think there's this is my point of, I don't blame anyone for suffering this way and feeling like they have to malform and become this kind of, you know, blob, neutral blob to do these things, because it's like, well, I need the work because there's not enough work going around, and I'm vulnerable because I don't like rejection, and that's fair enough. Yeah. But then, like, the industry's sort of not showing you that unique people get the people aren't always cast for the thing that fits them best.
And when you say unique people,
which everyone is,
exactly. I think that's an important point to make. No, we're talking about everyone has something that's unique about them. Yeah. So don't forget your voice. No. Don't throw it away. Yeah. Bring that to your brand and your true character. And
long term, I do believe, despite everything I said, you do that enough, I do genuinely believe that does get recognised.
I think so.
Whether it all gets recognised in this country or not is a different story, but I think in the world as a whole, it absolutely gets recognised. Yeah. I think that is always going to be a better option for you, and it's better for your soul.
Yeah, that's right. Because you know, look, you're just not going to enjoy the process if you have forgotten.
You're not being you.
If you're not being yourself.
No. Fuck, yeah.
And I think, through that whole period when I think we were discovering that as individuals, as artists, and as people, trying to figure out who other people want us to be, so that we can be part of their film or be an actor or get the role or whatever. And, you know, and I've talked about this before, walking into an audition and saying, what do you want from me? You know, as a beginner actor. And then thank goodness I had that moment when I booked a Crazy K, right? Yeah. And I was so dejected by the rejection, right? Yeah. And I hit fuck it. Yeah. You know? And not in an angry way. Just like, I don't want this anymore. Such a great way. I just want to go and have a bit of fun now. And I've got an opportunity to play a character that's a bit of a laugh. You know, it's comedy.
I was so impressed when all that happened. And
thanks,
the way
man.
That
it was so fun.
And then obviously that it was like an energy you've carried since. And but like that in particular, I remember just the way that you were like, I'm going to show you why I'm right for this.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that at the time.
No. But it was like, it wasn't, my point being that it wasn't like, I'm going to prove to you that I can do the thing you're asking me to do. It's like, you've given this idea of a thing, and I'm telling you, I'm going to show you why I'm the right person to, you know, bring it to life. And by being you, and bringing you out. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, a version of me.
Yeah.
In a parallel
You're
universe.
not still a rapper? Oh, okay.
I mean, it's in my.
But it's the same thing that
I definitely based my character on certain people that I'm related to.
Yeah. But even like the same thing when you showed me that initial video, that like test video thing you did for the Robbie film as Liam, because that's particularly when you're playing in like a real person. It's like, well, how do I, you know, that classic thing, or how do I be like them so much that I'm, you know, it's not me anymore. I'm being Liam, you know. And the way that it was like, I watched that video so proud because of how hard you worked for it, but knew that was coming from you. That was you as a fan and understanding and appreciating it. But as a performer, that was you doing you doing, Liam? You know, like, which is like, that's the shit. Like, that's what you want. And
thanks, man.
and I love that. Yeah, that's something you've been able to stick with. And
thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that I had that epiphany.
Yeah.
And that the opportunities came up and all the circumstances just kind of aligned eventually, that I did get to a point where I was like, I'd kind of given up on trying so hard.
Yeah.
And that's what set me free to come to that realization that, I just need to, I need to let go of that and just trust in myself and bring my version of this to the room.
Yeah.
You know, and even when I'm in an audition, I'm bringing my own brand, which is the genuine me, right? Which is much different to the approach that I was taking before that, which was, hi, what do you need, you know?
Yeah.
But coming in and just being like, all right, let's play, let's see what happens.
I mean, it's like,
you know,
it's like you audition.
you take it or leave it.
I think, again, it's just like we can talk all about how that applies to being a better actor and being, you know, making a better character. But it's like learning coming from where I'm coming, the much more important end goal is that it's your soul is, you know, looked after.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you live with that more than any character, you know, that you embody.
Absolutely.
And again, this is like that's been the big thing that I transitioned through this sort of end of last year, this year was like, I realized I could quite light and day see I was existing as a sort of a boxed in form of myself in every place that I went to. And I let that happen. Yeah. And again, part of that was insecurity and anxieties and different things. And then also was, not knowing how good it is, having never been there, not knowing how good it is to be me in every environment, in every theoretical room that I walk into.
And it's not arrogant. It's not arrogance. And I think that's the fear. I think people fear that if they actually develop a voice, that they're coming across as arrogant. Yeah. You're still curious about other people's, you know, opinions and lives, and
that is a really, 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 really hard hill to climb over. But boy, when you get there, my God,
it's part of why I started this as well, is because I was kind of getting somewhere as an actor, through social media. But what I've found and what I find is a lot of people post a lot of photos, and they develop they show a sort of image of their life. Yeah. Or how they want to be perceived as a working actor, which is
everyone
very important. Yeah. For your branding, right? But I think the next step is connecting to people by actually showing them who you are with your voice. Yeah. And I didn't post anything, it was all pictures, right? Yeah. And I was like, what the hell would I post? What kind of reels would I post? Just like me pretending to be, a day in the life of a working actor, which is mainly me just waiting for an email and watching movies, and cleaning houses. That's the reality. Yeah. We could keep lying about how successful we are as actors to try to prove to someone that we are,
but that's not connecting. Yeah,
exactly. And so my realization was, the few moments that I have to actually act in something, I'll start talking about that. Yeah,
and talk about what didn't work and what
exactly, and
the vulnerability, because it's like, because otherwise that's the big threat of social media, and I think we're all kind of tapping into it, starting to tap into understanding it now. Yeah. But it's like it's shifted us from a one big group of people on this earth to a collection of individuals. Yeah. Yes. And it's like we're projecting us. That's a wall. That's a barrier. That's a painting on a wall. That's, it's like.
Then you're not really getting to know an artist at all.
No, exactly. And it's like, I mean,
you're only looking at some product.
And like you're saying, you're saying it's like it's an ulterior motive of trying to, again, look for acceptance or approval or healing stuff. And it's like, no, that doesn't, and we know that it only damages people. We know that that when people only post like the good stuff and all the other people see that and then they judge themselves against that. Yeah. We know that it's not helping us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if anyone should be not doing that, it's artists. If there's anyone that shouldn't just be posting when things are going great and all the success and all the stuff, is artists, because our business is vulnerability, I think, and emotions and feelings or whatever. And I'm trying to do this thing. I was doing a little bit with the film last year. I was trying to do this thing where I was doing these kind of bloggy video things.
Yeah.
It was more that I was like, as you know, I'm a bit resistant to social media posting and stuff.
But who isn't?
Well, yeah, exactly. But and I do so, like, believe that it doesn't have to be for everyone, or you find your way.
Sure,
you
of course.
find your own way to exist with it. But I was more that it stopped, or it dropped off because it was more because of that. But while I was doing it, it was, it was just like showing the process. And then it was really interesting because I would get a very mixed response. I get from some people who would project onto me and go and trying to answer the thing that I'm solving.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm feeding you vulnerability because I want it back.
Yes.
Because that's what we should be connecting.
Yeah.
And then some people did.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And I'm going to try, and I'm contemplating doing it for this one. Just to, like, even if nothing that I say is useful, just the act of showing the vulnerability. And it's like, I don't know, I believe in that. So,
I think it's great, man. I think.
But I would follow, like, all these actors that I do, and I see them when they get the roles, and that's great, and I'm happy for them. But I'm like, personally, I'd love to see them talk about, like, something they didn't get and within, what they're allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
And then go, like, exploring why what they felt didn't quite connect, or how they're feeling about it and whatever. Like, that's, I would cast people based on that shit because I'm like, oh, cool, I'm seeing the human being.
Yeah, and also, like, those moments where they didn't get a role, there's so many factors around why they might not have got
It's
their role.
got nothing to do with them.
Nothing
most
to
of the
do
time.
with the fact that it might have been bad work. It probably was really good work.
Yeah.
And
you hear that stuff all the time.
Yeah,
and it has happened since the dawn of film. Like, like, people not getting roles for just totally inconsequential or, like, arbitrary, conditional other things and stuff that,
Yeah, I don't know. It is really, I think it's important to share those stories because it's kind of validating. You never know how close you were, and it's okay. I don't know. What am I trying to say? I don't know. Oh, maybe that one's kind of dead. But you're not a failure.
Yeah, and that's relatable. That's more relatable than success. Success isn't very relatable.
No.
It's desirable, but it's not very relatable.
Yeah.
Like, even just that little moment where you didn't know what to say. People, like, you might feel the need to cut that, and you may, but, like, I guarantee you 95% of the people, even if they don't quite realize it, that's the thing that'll actually connect them to you more than the clean, perfect,
Yeah.
and stuff. And that's what I've learned through, like, learning about my mental health stuff, and notably the anxiety, is like, talking about it makes me feel better, but then it seems to make other people feel better. And that's really lovely.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because if I just hide that, my soul's kind of crushed. But then it's also, I'm not, what am I doing for the world that way? If I'm just projecting perfection. Like,
Yes, yeah.
social media is just making us, like, taking us further and further away from the tribe that should remain, that we don't look after it, that the fact that, the tribe mentality, I use that word sort of tribe to mean, a collection of people that are helping each other, that, that if this person's not good at that thing, the other person who is can sort of step up and support that. And then it's like who people are is so important to the success of it. So we know we can identify what everyone's strengths are, and then other people pick up that slack, and then vice versa, and that kind of stuff. And we're just like, social media is taking us so far away from that, to be, like I said, just a collection of individuals.
Yeah.
Like, that does absolutely nothing other than just be like a blip of dopamine, and then a repressed feeling of insufficiency, that impacts certain people more than others.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, I love when people refer to social media as like a drug, because it's like a recognition of the addiction, which is something I've sort of I put that out recently, sort of acknowledging. I'm like, I'm actually really,
It's
just a video talking to someone about who's kind of quizzing the other person of like, do you think when you wake up in the morning, what do you pick up your phone? Is that the first thing? And the guy who's like who's married, and he's like, and the other guy was like, do you look at it before you say hi, say good morning to your wife?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, if she's not, and he just realized, he's like, fuck. But
Yeah.
as soon as I clocked that, I've been making so much more effort to distance myself from it and be on it less.
What is it that you think you get out of it?
Get out of what?
Social media, like watching it.
Well, that's what I mean. I think it's this thing of like, I think people have been taught, and again, no fault of their own. I don't blame people for being sucked into this thing.
Of course not. We're all addicted to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, again, if we're all addicted, it's not our fault. It's in our control. We need to take back the control, but like, and it's up to us to sort of change it. But it's this like the little dopamine hit of like new, because I think we all recognize that new things and a color that we might not have seen before is like all that stuff is like, you know, in the moment is a nice little thing. There's I think a false sense of seeing other people's lives, like a false sense of relatability, like a surface kind of like, oh, that person's got a dog that makes the funny noise. Well, so does mine. And then I think there is this sort of thing of like, well, if that person has this perfect life, maybe I can. But again, it's such a surface like thing that you take in. It's like the iceberg at the top, above the water, but underneath the water, the rest of the iceberg is it's actually going, well, my life's nothing if it's because I can't do that thing that seems so effortless and so easy and achievable tangible to this person.
Yeah.
That I was like, well, I don't look that good when I take that photo in front of that wall at the winery.
Yeah.
Well, I'm nothing. All that stuff underneath is the stuff that's, you know, killing us. But that surface stuff just is just enough to kind of keep it active. And again, just to keep it on track a bit, like on theme a bit, it's like how, like none of that helps us as people.
No.
I think there's some beautiful things about social media.
Yeah.
It's people that you can keep in contact with and stuff. But like, you know, this thing is sort of indirectly, in some cases, very directly teaching us that whatever we're doing, no matter what, is not good enough.
Yeah.
And the overwhelming message of insufficiency and not enoughness, it's like, yeah, that's not going to breed anything beautiful.
No.
I don't know. I think something with actors is I think there is a wonderful way that you can use it as a business tool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be sheen, that you can be vulnerable and then keep it at a distance.
Yeah.
And know that that's what it's there for. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know, this is a bit of a messy point that I'm.
Well, I think I made it. I think I made a choice. I think I made a choice to make my social media actor based and not share too much of my personal life.
Yeah.
Because I think that was just pretty fake.
But it's not all sheen though. And I think that's why I think you've done it. I think you've got a good example.
Okay.
Like I think you've got a good thing where I feel like, no, seriously, I feel like it still feels like I'm looking at a human being.
Yeah.
And like, sure, I know you, so I can pick up on things that others might not. But it doesn't feel like it's all gloss. Like it does feel like hey, this is me, I'm an actor, cast me.
Yeah.
But also like, it's the individual is present and it's not all projecting glossy veneer, like, you know.
It would be extremely hard for me to keep up glossy veneer. It's just not me.
I don't put beard oil in my beard every day. You know, I can't do this every day. Yeah. And
I think I used to post a lot more, you know, look at the cool things I'm doing.
And it's useful, like, I'm not saying there's an absence of that either. Like, tell people when you do well.
Hey, man, if I go on a holiday, I'm like, look, I did a little holiday.
Because if you marry it, I think with the vulnerability, it just becomes like, I see that and go, oh, I'm happy for you. You know, I'm not kind of comparing because I remember the human being because you present that as well. But I think with art or with filmmaking or with like, and that's what I'm trying to balance, like with like the Cats or Death films page, again, working through my resistance to social media posting and stuff and all that kind of shit. But it's going, all right, well, I'll tell you when the film does well because that's nice and it's a nice thing. And yes, it may have a little bit of like people you bump into people who kind of like, oh, it seems like it's doing well. Then there's a little bit of worth there in that for sure. People feel like you're doing the right thing. That's like, that makes something.
Yeah.
It means something. But I try to marry it with like, again, this thing's kind of not working. And I don't know if I'm succeeding in it so much. I mean, I don't post a lot anyway, but I'm really conscious of it. I'm trying to do more of that. And
but I think what makes you beautiful as a human and interesting as an artist is your vulnerability.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's something that you lean on. Yeah. And I think it's perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, yeah. And your beard is good.
Copy and paste. Everyone out there. thank you. That was very lovely. And it does feel like a strength. Like it was a thing where I was like, I have to be to survive. For me personally, I have to be honored as a person. A way for me to get through things.
It's who you've always been, though. I think the brand is like I said, it's the real you.
Yeah, it's vulnerability is truth. You know, in that sense, I hope that's what my films kind of become. Whatever genre, whatever. It's not a sheen or a projection of gloss. It's there's a vulnerability, like no matter what, even if it's some weird horror comedy schlocky fucking thing. There's I think hopefully a feeling of vulnerability to it.
Yeah, because
if it's not there, then it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah, so your film, Greg, which was so good, and something I was like so proud to see you do, because as we've talked about through this chat, it felt like there was so much waiting for both of us to actually do the thing. Not that we weren't trying things, but you made this thing finally. And I remember like catching up with you around that time when you were writing, and you were just hard out writing these things. And then you just finally went and did it, and you got the crew together and you made this really beautiful short film on no budget, and people came together for it.
Well, it was interesting. It was like a period of time, because like I said, I've always been writing.
Yeah.
And it was through some friends that we have this kind of film group with, you know, them all being filmmakers and active filmmakers.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think the stuff of kind of like, okay, I'm ready to do it now. It was a little bit of like, competitive spirit maybe injected into it, which was great, of like, oh, well, yeah. But then the pressure I'd put on myself was the first thing that I do has to be, because it's been, you know, it's been a while, and everyone, I've been telling people for 10 fucking plus years that I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah. You
and
again,
again,
put pressure on yourself to blow them away with something.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
been talk for so long, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm doing all the failing, because they're not seeing that I've been doing all the failing and succeeding and whatever, like in the background on my computer, you know. Anyway, so I had a bunch of scripts, and then so one of my like key people in my life, but specifically as a filmmaker, is a guy called Shane McNeil that I met at film school. And was kind of like, between him and maybe like Ashley were the only people that seemed to kind of go, oh, there's something here, that saw the artist, you know, or looked at the artist. I was in this kind of slump around COVID time. Like I was writing, and I wrote, you know, most of a feature script, one that I haven't made yet. So I was always still, the things were happening behind the scenes, but this pressure to, all right, I've got to pick the right thing. And then, and I saw like and then I happened to start developing more like shorts. And then I was working at, during the Fringe, and then bumped into Shane. And I was like, holy shit. And I could immediately, like I was aware enough to go like, oh, this needed to happen. I just felt in my bones. I was like, oh shit. I desperately needed to see him again. Yeah. Reconnected. And he's telling me, oh, so what do you got? What are you doing? You know, and I was like, oh, I've got these things and stuff. And I was talking through these different ideas. And one of them was Greg that I wrote. It just was birthed from, you know, the recent kind of exploration or kind of understanding of me having anxiety and struggling with anxiety, and kind of just wanting to translate that to people who are around me that maybe don't quite get it. And I probably, if I searched that more, I was like, I probably was just trying to tell like my family or whatever. Yeah. This is what it's like for me. And and I happened to show it to Dave Gregan. Yeah. And he was like, oh, I like it. I'd work on this. But I had these other ones. And I remember I was saying to Shane the first time we caught up, I got all these scripts, and I go, oh, there's Greg, but like it feels a bit safe. And he immediately was like, so Dave said he'd do it. Yeah. Just cut through all that shit. And he was like, well, there you go. Like you wrote that from a place of, you know, truth and vulnerability and stuff. Yeah. Why would you make dude, it's half made. You've already started, you know? Yeah. And then I just sort of, ejected this idea of it has to be the first thing. This thing has to be challenging and daring and crazy and ambitious or whatever. And I was like, not to say that it is safe, Greg, necessarily. Nothing is safe, but it's got something in there. Yeah. Already that someone has, you know, said yes to. And again, with no money or anything, that's half the film being made. Yeah. So I just kind of followed that. And Shane is a voice that, you know, it's one of the few, and I think it's why he's so special to me, is one of the few male voices that I listen to. Yeah. That I'm not just immediately kind of rejecting. And he's totally like become my kind of like film dad in that sense. And I ring him up. I'm like, it's like, I need like I'm on the therapy couch, about this thing to do with some script or something or whatever.
Yeah.
And he will always listen and always have time for me. He's one of the most beautiful people on the planet. So generous and amazing. And so it's really his spirit paired with Dave's kind of blessing and sort of acknowledgement of it. And then obviously the forever continued support of like my mum, that was the person in my life more than anyone that's never said no to me for any of this stuff. It just kind of kept rolling. And then unfortunately near the end, Dave had to pull out for a different thing, but then Katrina Penning, who was the first AC, stepped up nobly and just did such an amazing job. And she sort of admitted later that it was like, I didn't bring too much of myself to it because it was like, filling the hole that Dave left, and I was like, that's you kind of, just sit back. Because like, that's what you did with that.
Yeah. She was amazing.
And you see it in all our other work. Like she's one of the best here, and so grateful obviously for saving it, but for bringing what, her craft, incredible craft to it. Yeah. But Dave's, that initial thing that he, the energy that he gave it and acceptance or whatever, another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man that's so unbelievably generous and amazing. Yeah.
And someone, a friend, but also someone that you really look up to.
Oh, yeah. Because he was the first guy, like I met him at film school. It was the first professional sets I was working on was sort of gaffing or assisting him. And those three people really, Mum, Dave and Shane are sort of, they're the key people.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting that like you had, and this might have been an anxiety thing, I don't know, finding excuses of why you shouldn't follow through with something that you actually want to do.
Oh, the myriad of things,
and like the excuses we make for ourselves to not do it. Yeah. And the procrastination. Yeah. And it's so nice that Shane had that foresight to just be like, dude, you've got the thing. Just do the thing.
Man, just do it. Yeah. Break the seal, man. Yeah. It's the same reason why I kind of jumped, one of the reasons why I jumped sort of straight then after that to making my first feature. Yeah. Because it was like, Just do it.
And I think it takes practice. Like it is really hard to break that seal and do it the first time. Yeah. But it's just that is something to practice. You committing to something that feels so, and that you feel you don't have a right to do.
Yeah. That was another thing I kind of identified in my 20s or my late 20s. It was like, if something doesn't have a manual, I would be like, well, that stays in the box. That kind of mentality. I was so bad at that, and now I do not.
But it's it maybe kind of makes me think of what you were saying at the start about your anxiety and recognizing how to sort of manage it and living with it and
befriending it.
And
it's the best part of it. And
personifying it.
Yeah, but that's what Greg was all about. It was like the film's about a guy just before a date talking to his anxiety, and the anxiety's kind of trying to bully him, but he's sort of not.
Talk him out of this thing that could be really good for him. And this opportunity.
But the anxiety's intention is actually he's
trying to help him.
He's trying to help him, but it's his idea of what help is. He's kind of go home, sit in the dark room by yourself because that's safe. Yeah. So it's a good intention. Yeah. And then when you learn to talk to your anxiety. That's what sort of the end of the film is like Evie's character it's just a little hint of like she's actually someone that has a conversation, is having a conversation with hers, and so she's in a slightly better place. So if they do form a relationship, there's a bit of like, I can show you the ropes a little bit.
Yeah, it's so nice.
That's sort of was the warm little bit of hope in a way at the end of that. Yeah. But the anxiety is the superpower. It's a sort of, its method is really ugly, and if I'm not on my game, it can really throw me. Yeah. That's the big thing. And it was like, the way that it held me back for all these years, it was like, well, it's not the anxiety's fault. It was my fault for, again, not listening to it in the right way. And then it's like the anxiety actually is what's now kind of weirdly propelling me, one of the things, and it's because it's a part of me. And then now it's like, yeah, cool. I'm in Featureland now. And I look at shorts. I mean, neither of them come out yet. But even if they fucking disappear and die, I feel, like I said, I feel like I've broken that seal. Yeah. But it's like, no, I'm there now. And now I'm the devil on everyone else's shoulders, every other filmmaker that I know's shoulders going, get to the feature.
Yeah. Just do it.
Oh, man, it feels so good. Yeah. I feel like I validated myself. Lo and behold.
That's it. And, it's a muscle.
Yeah. Because that's the thing I want to be doing. So it's like,
takes practice to push through all the fears and do it. Well, anything that we ever talk about doing, any plans we make, doing this podcast, I think I had the idea for more than a year. And what I found myself doing was I kept buying shit that was my version of procrastination. Sure. Because I got all these other mics that I got off Marketplace, and they're fine.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, nah, because I already got one of these ones. They got a match. And I should get this mixing desk thing. I already had an interface.
Yeah.
I need to buy another camera. I was just procrastinating, starting the thing. And then even once I started recording them, it took me ages to release the first one. Do you remember like we bumped into each other in the supermarket and we were talking about like how to release the first one?
Oh, yeah.
And again, like the same reason why it took me so long to record the first one and I had to bite the bullet and I called Nick and he was at my house within 20 minutes and I wasn't even set up and I just said, just come over. I don't know how to record a podcast, but I definitely have the equipment now. Like I think we can do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to run an interview and I don't even want it to be an interview. I just want to talk to my friend and just come over. And he's like, yeah, man. And he just like jumped in the deep end with me and we just did it. And then I was like, I'll see what it comes out like. I'll edit it and trim the fat and I was like, oh, it was fine.
Yeah.
And people liked it.
You jumped off the cliff and you didn't break your legs. And you're like,
exactly.
Oh. But it was kind of fun while I was gliding in the air.
Yeah. But even that chat we had in the supermarket, like I'd hit another block where I was procrastinating and I was thinking about the perfect way to release the first few episodes. Yeah. And there's probably a formula that's like, release 3 at once and have, to activate the algorithm or whatever. But then that became the reason why I wasn't releasing anything. Yeah. And I just went, no. It's out there. The first one's out there now, and I've committed to weekly episodes. And I missed 1 week, but whatever. Like I got sick, but at least I've started, and now I'm like, okay, now there's a pressure to release them, and that's going to allow me to actually not think about when they're finished and just release them. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, like it doesn't have to be perfect to get them out there. Yeah. But the point is like just starting and recognizing when you're procrastinating and recognizing when you're finding excuses not to start something. Yeah, and be gentle with yourself. Recognizing like going, there's that thing again. Okay, that's not actually a big deal. I should just do it.
But don't punish yourself if you
no.
But recognize it.
It's part of the process, I think.
Yeah, you can get yourself out of it in the right way. But
it's funny. Like Sonna always reminds me of this. Anytime I make something, like any of the content that I make, there's always a period because it takes like those reels took me freaking ages, man. Like too long. Can't keep that up. Yeah. But with this as well, there's always a period where I'm driving in the car with her, and I'm like, oh, it's just not. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what to do. I've got no ideas. It's crap. And like I've wasted so much time, recorded all this stuff. It's just rubbish. And she's like, you say this every single time. And the next day you've cracked it all. And then you release it 3 days later and you're so stoked with it. Yeah. But every single time I go through that period where I'm like, this is a waste of time. I don't know why I'm doing this. My ideas are crap. Yeah. But that's part of my process, All that self-doubt is part of the process, and recognizing when that happens, I'm like, oh, I'm doubting myself. I hate everything I'm doing. I just have to get through that little or just like bypass it and be like, okay, enough of that. Yeah. Finish the thing, get it done and release it, It's part of the process, And same with like starting, all that self-doubt and all the procrastination is part of the process. Yeah. Get it done. Yeah. Okay, and you're in pre-production of another feature. Yeah, which I don't know when this will be released. It might be shooting by that point, but right in the thick of it. Where are you at in that process? Like Well, it's a bit blurry because I'm sort of, it's a big ensemble film, and it's sort of like how I'm casting is also a bit based on availability. So I want to develop it with people as much as possible. Yeah. But it's this sort of small, beautiful crew of people. But then it's like, casting is sort of like I'm casting good people. That's how it starts. That's the first thing. If they're a good actor, that's a bonus. Sure. But just like genuine people. Yeah. But it's like it's helpful for this film because hey, surprise, surprise, it's a very vulnerable film. Yeah. But so it's this really beautiful organic thing that's kind of moving along and like evolving and it's so cool, man. I'm stoked that you're not just making the films that you want to make and writing the films that you want to write. You're creating the environment that you want to work in as well, and finding the crew and the cast that fit that ethos. Yeah, just like it's just going to make for good art. I think so. But so when these films are out, where can, obviously we want to keep some of the details under wraps for the creative process and everything. But where can we find you on social media so that we can keep updated with your work?
Yeah, so all this stuff is localized on Cats or Death Films.
Which is at Cats or Death Films.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Greg's out there. You can watch it.
Yeah.
There's a link on the page.
Yeah. I'll put a link
that's done its little run.
All the bios.
And then the other two, these features sometime next year. We'll see.
Amazing.
See how we go. But yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for being here, man. This means so much, dude.
Thank you, man.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.
Calen, you're the best, man. Thanks so much for coming on, dude. Please give him a follow on Instagram at Cats or Death Films. But before you do, ask yourself one question.
Is it cats or death?
Anyway, join me next week. I have another really wonderful guest coming on. I won't say who it is because we haven't recorded the episode yet. And just in case we get too busy and it doesn't happen, I don't want to make promises, but she's a wonderful actor and I can't wait to have a chat with her. It's going to be such a good episode. Stay tuned for that one. Please subscribe, hit follow, all of those things. Make sure you don't miss that episode. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Stay off the internet. It's too terrifying. My name is Chris Gunn, and hey, go pluck yourself.